What's up, friends? I'm Chef Eddie Jackson, and today we're going to take an old school classic, onion rings, and jazz it up a little bit with jerk ketchup. So go ahead and get your oil set to 350 degrees, and let's get to it. So we're talking onion rings, right? It has the word in it, rings. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Normally when you cut an onion, you want to cut it in half, but we want to keep the integrity of the onion. So what I like to do is just take the ends off, both sides, just the root like that. Get rid of the peel, and then all you want to do is just, I like to just cut just a little bit, just so I can get my fingers in there. And then you just peel all that outer skin away. There's something classic about onion rings. Think about like the old school burger shops, diners. Onion rings was like a big thing, but they kind of faded away. But I'm going to jazz it up a little bit and bring them back. Give them a little glory. So we have our whole onion. And so all you're going to do is just lay it right on the side. And I'm going to go about a 1/4 inch thick. Like so. Remember when you're cutting, always try to claw. You never want to hold like that because you have a risk of cutting your fingers. So I like to just claw. Like so. So let me show you how we're going to do this. So you have your ring, and all you're going to do is just start to push them out like that. And that's what it should look like. Just go ahead and get these in, make a little room. And you can make them as thick as you want or as thin as you want. I like mine's about a 1/4 inch because I like to have a little bite. I love this recipe because they're good on its own. You know, you can dip them in the jerk ketchup that we're going to make a little bit later, or they're good for toppers like burgers, right? Once you get to the end like this, I like to kind of just go, put my knife in and go right over it, like that. And if you split a few, don't worry about it. It's still going to be good. And just push through like that. Separate them. Good. This looks like a good amount. That was a big onion. So if you want to add an extra onion there, you can. Make sure you check your oil now because everything is going to come together very, very quickly. Right now I'm sitting at 350 degrees, which is perfect. I'm going to get working on the batter. So I have some flour, just regular all-purpose flour. I'm going to put down about a cup of that. So flour in. I'm going to season it up with a little bit of salt. And a little bit of garlic powder. And then a little bit of black pepper as well. It's a very simple batter, but the real flavor is going to come from the beer. Now you can use any kind of beer that you want, but this recipe calls for red ale. I love using red ale because it has caramel notes in it, and I think it has a little sweetness to it that's going to be perfect with these onions. So we're going to slowly whisk in this beer, and it's also going to give the onion rings a deep, dark, rich color. You always want to pour wet ingredients in slowly. Keep the batter from clumping up. So let's go ahead and get this all incorporated. Make sure you get a nice whisk like that. This is what you're looking for. It shouldn't be loose at all. It should be nice and thick. And that's going to ensure that it crusts the onions. So if you have a whisk, it should just drizzle right off the whisk, just like that. That's the consistency that you're looking for, all right? All right, so what we're gonna do is take our onion ring. So you wanna flip it and make sure that every single inch of the onion ring is nice and coated. Well, the oil is at 350 degrees, but you still wanna test at least one just to make sure that that oil is nice and hot. Temperature is perfect. It's starting to bubble up just a little bit, so that lets me know that that oil is nice and ready. We're frying, you wanna work in batches. We don't wanna overcrowd the pot, right? We don't want them to steam, we want them to fry. Very key point. So I'm using my hands But feel free to use some tongs, a fork, or whatever kind of utensils you have in your kitchen. But just make sure that the onions are all coated. I think I can get maybe 1 or 2 more in there. It's gonna get messy now, so don't worry about it. Ooh, that's gonna be a good one. There we go. Wash my hands really quickly. Remember, we're frying things, so you wanna use a drain pan to let some of that oil come off so it doesn't get the crust soggy. All right, so let's give these a check. So I still have about a minute or so to go. I can go ahead and actually get started on my jerk ketchup. I have a cup of ketchup. We have some brown sugar. And then all we're gonna do is just run down a list of spices. I have some allspice, and this is the main component when you're talking about jerk seasonings. Some cayenne for heat. Also some red pepper flakes in here as well. We're gonna add a little bit of onion powder. Some garlic powder as well. I know it seems like a lot of spices, but trust me, it'll be well worth it. So I have some dry thyme. Oregano as well. A little bit of salt. Onion rings are working. They should be done right around the time that this ketchup comes together. Don't forget about your onion rings now. So these are actually looking really good. I'm going to give them a little flip. Ooh, that's a real good one right there. That one's I got my eye on that one. Perfect. So another minute and those will be ready to go. So I'm going to add a little bit of lime juice to this. It's a little bit tight, so I want to work it and kind of break it down a little bit so I can make sure I get all of those juices inside this. You should be able to squeeze it and it bounces back. That's how you know you're ready. So I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to use my juicer here. And if you don't have one of these, don't worry. You can just squeeze it in. A little bit of lime juice goes in. Good mix. You should be able to see all the spices in there. Oh, you can smell every ingredient in here. All right, so I think my onion rings are done. I told you it was going to go by very, very quickly. Now that is a classic onion ring. Nice and crispy. Nice and brown. Sit these here. I like to use a little bit of sea salt right when it comes out the fryer. And it's key to do this like right when they come out so that that exterior can really soak up all of the salt. Perfect. All right, so I'm working on my second batch. You can smell that beer. Remember, we're working in batches, no rush. They get done in no time. I got the jerk ketchup already ready, already prepped out. I'm gonna drop one more in here. Perfect. Wash my hands. All right, so these are gonna take a couple minutes. While these go, I'm gonna clean up my station and get ready, pop out my serving platter and show you how this thing comes together. All right, so I think we're almost there. A couple more minutes here. I think these are about ready, folks. These are the perfect little snacks for a game day, for a little party that you have and get together at home. Just something to snack on before the main event arrives. Perfect. Remember, fresh out the grease, a bit of this sea salt. All right, it's time to plate this up. Let's go with some of this delicious jerk ketchup that we made. You can see all of those spices. And then let's arrange these onion rings all around. You can hear how crispy they are, right? Listen. It's time to get in here. I want you to listen to this crunch. Listen very carefully. Get a little bit of this ketchup. Ooh. That is what you want. First things first, you get that pop of that jerk ketchup, that allspice, the cayenne, and then the onion rings. Nice and crispy. The caramel notes from that red ale is coming through. This is definitely a new school twist on an old school favorite. Thanks for hanging with me. I'll see you next time.